Welcome to the Everything Goes podcast. My name is Gus, and this week's episode, we are talking about Kobe Bryant's tragic death. This week has to be one of the hardest, one of the toughest recordings I have ever done because Kobe Bryant was more than just a Laker. He was a father, he was a husband. 9 people in total passed away in this tragic helicopter crash, including his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna Bryant, Gigi. It's tough. It was a very tough thing to do. Joining me was Josh. And at the time of our recording, we did not have all the entire facts. I mean, we recorded that night, the same night of the accident. So things have been updated. And yeah, we're going to reflect a little bit about Kobe Bryant himself. So to Kobe Bryant, Gianna Bryant, John Altobelli, Carrie Altobelli, Eliza Altobelli, Christina Mauser, Sarah Chester, Peyton Chester, and Era Zabayan. I hope I pronounced it the correct way. From the Everything Goes podcast, I hope you guys rest in peace. And may our prayers be with all the families. So what's up, guys? This is Gus with Josh on the Everything Goes podcast. On this week's episode, we're going to talk about something that just happened a couple hours ago. Just give you guys a little heads up that we do live in LA. And we're going to be talking about the passing of Kobe Bryant. So I think this one's dedicated to him and anybody that lives out here in the LA area, or anybody that loves Kobe Bryant and that knew him as a player, as a dad, a husband, and all that good stuff. So this one's dedicated to him. So what's up, Josh?
Hey man, yeah, it's a sad day today in Los Angeles. I think we all definitely feel affected by what happened today, man. And I guess I just want to read off some of the details if for our listeners, if you don't already know. But apparently the crash occurred today before 10 a.m. Was it near Las Virgenes Road in Calabasas. And from what I'm reading from an article in LA Times, I guess they got a call at 9:47 a.m. I guess he had taken off from John Wayne Airport at 9:06 a.m. and he was on his way to Thousand Oaks over his Mamba Academy that he has over there. And yeah, man, the worst fucking happened. Like I woke up and it was I thought it was cloudy, and I headed out, and then my wife's like, Kobe Bryant died, and for a quick second I thought she was messing around, and I was like, why would she mess around like that about that, and it just I still don't believe it, man. Like I still feel like it's crazy, it's crazy that someone that I've never met has impacted my life so much, or has done so much in their life that they've been able to impact me directly. Like it's insane. It's crazy.
I think the whole town, the whole city of LA, and even the world, I think even the United States, anybody that knows Kobe Bryant or has heard of him is in a state of shock. I think that's we're all somber. I'm still at that feeling that I feel like kind of like a zombie mode, kind of. I still can't believe that what happened. I could tell you that I grew up with the guy. He's probably a year, almost 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
So I seen him. I kind of grew up with him, basically.
Yeah.
And I still can't believe it. I'm telling you, I'm still in that shock vibe or whatever. I can't eat right. So we all are affected by what's going on here in LA.
Yeah, it's really it's just bizarre, man. It's just so crazy. Like, like I'm literally watching the news and in memory or remembering Kobe Bryant, and I'm like, what the fuck is going? I feel like I'm in a movie right now.
Yeah.
Like this isn't real. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. Well, see, let me read something out because I think just throw it out there. I mean, Kobe Bryant was not the only one that passed away. It was 9 other people that passed away or that were in that crash. And one of them was his 13-year-old daughter. And that's what hurts too, man. I mean, it's a tragedy. It was tragedy all over, but it's bad enough to see his 13-year-old daughter. They were on their way to a basketball game, or a basketball camp going out to Newberry Park, I think it was. And that's what happened. Coming, I guess, from his house out there in Orange County all the way out here to Calabasas, Newberry Park area.
Right.
And then we were talking earlier how foggy it was today in the morning.
Oh, yeah, it was super foggy. And mind you, I live in, we live in the San Fernando Valley, but I would say maybe about from the crash site, like no traffic, maybe like 20 minutes. So I'm off like DeSoto, so you could do DeSoto 101, get off Los Virgenes, like, like a 10-minute drive. But it was super foggy. Like it was so foggy. I mean, I thought it was just like a very cloudy day, which is really weird.
Yeah.
But,
it looked eerie. It looked very eerie. I told you I woke up early in the morning and I got up to go get some breakfast out here at McDonald's, and the first thing I saw was the fog outside, and I was like, God damn.
Yeah.
Very eerie, man.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's just, yeah. I'm really interested. I mean, everyone wants to know, obviously, what happened.
Yeah. I mean,
so
we could hear it in everybody's voices how sad everybody is, and even now we don't have the energy that we usually do because we still have him in mind. We still can't believe what happened to Kobe Bryant. Pretty much, dude. Look, Kobe Bryant transcended just basketball.
Completely, yeah.
He was an iconic person here in LA, as everybody knows. I mean, he built he's probably the greatest Laker of all time.
Yeah.
And I've seen my bunch of Laker games and a bunch of Laker teams. I grew up in the 80s, so I could tell you the difference between the 80s Lakers and Kobe's Lakers.
Yeah.
And he transcended more than just basketball.
Yeah, I mean, he has a huge resume, right? He has not only does he basketball, he has multiple All-Star MVPs.
I think he had a Grammy
he has,
too.
Has a Grammy. He has was it 4, if I'm not mistaken, 4 Olympic gold medals.
Oh, something.
With the USA basketball team. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, like, again, it's so insane to me how someone that I've never met in my life, like, it's so crazy. It's just so crazy the power, like, that one human being right through his life and his existence and his energy, like how he's able to put that out, like you said, like beyond basketball.
Yeah.
It's amazing. From what we could see, he was a great father. I mean, he was very involved in women's basketball and trying to, have the sport, be more known or be more involved in. So it's a very, I'm still in disbelief.
Yeah, it's somber feeling. I think for me, because I am a dad and I take my kids to sports and specifically to their practices and stuff like that, he was doing that stuff. He was taking his daughter to practice. I mean, obviously through a chopper or helicopter, but that's what we do as parents. We take our kids to practice. And it tells you that our legends and our heroes are actually human.
Right.
We forget that they're not, gods. And when tragic stuff like that happens, it's what the hell? It hits everybody hard.
Man, yeah, no, dude.
When you came in, we were talking about what you were doing at the moment and how'd you find out. So how'd you find out?
Yeah, I was in the car. And I was just driving, and then, I just remember again, just my wife telling me the news, and she kept, kind of reading, and then we turned the radio station on, and then, the media is something else. Whatever, I have my own opinion about them, but, they're everyone's just first it was 5 people. I heard a report on the radio that it was him and his 4 daughters.
Yeah.
And I was like, geez, it's crazy, man. Like, it's just the information that's just going out there. It's just, and I was driving like 20 miles an hour because I was just in like complete, I don't know, man, like just disbelief.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think a lot of us were in this funk. We just couldn't believe it.
Just feels like a bad dream. Like
Yeah.
I hope tomorrow I wake up and this is just bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of us feel that way. I feel that way right now just talking about it.
Yeah.
And it sucks because my wife, my kids were watching it, and even my mother-in-law and all the people were talking about Kobe Bryant. It tells you how big this person was. This
Yeah,
basketball
the
player.
impact he had on the world.
Yeah,
I was talking to a like a software engineer today from up north, from North Cal, San Francisco. He was telling me how he's from China,
oh yeah,
and the first time he heard about like America was through Kobe. When he was in 3rd grade, he heard of Kobe Bryant, and the first city that he knew existed in America was Los Angeles because of Kobe Bryant.
yeah.
And anyway, yeah, he ended up coming out here to UCLA, and works and lives in San Francisco now. But this is the craziness, like I say this not only because I'm a Laker fan, but also like just as a human. I don't know what it was like.
Yeah.
I was always pulled towards his persona. I don't know what it is. Like I've seen so much of his stuff that he has an HBO he has a movie that he did.
Yeah, that's the one he won the Grammy.
No. That's he won the Grammy for the short film that he did, but he actually has like a documentary thing on HBO.
Oh yeah.
Which is an amazing movie or documentary, and it gives you insight into his mentality and the way that he saw things and the way he lived his life, and he was just inspiring, dude. Like I saw this YouTube thing he did with this guy from Valuetainment, and where he was on there for over an hour, and like you can see the guy is just like his persona, just he's just a cool real dude.
Yeah.
And I just, yeah, man, I don't know. I keep circling back to the fact that, it's crazy to see a human being have such an impact. I can't even believe the impact that he had in my life until like now. I'm like, shit, this is crazy. Like this is, yeah.
It's all the memories, man. Memories,
Yeah, man.
games, and stuff that, like you said, you actually kept up with him after basketball, and it's been 4 years after he retired. Now it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
So it tells you how big he was still in LA.
Yeah, dude. He was working. He was working on a lot of projects.
Yeah,
with like production. I'm not sure if how accurate this is, but I remember. I'm not sure in that interview he was talking about. He looked for people that like wanted to fail, that thought outside the box.
Yeah.
And he was working on a lot of different projects, dude. Like for everything, he's working on his Mamba Academy, which
that's where he was headed to.
Yeah. I've actually driven by there. I can't remember what street it's off of over there.
What is it? Newberry Park?
It's in Newberry Park, Thousand Oaks. Okay. Yeah. And it's man, it's just devastating news.
Do you know the area where he crashed? Right here, right about Las Virgenes.
Las Virgenes, yeah.
Right there across from the 101 freeway.
Mm-hmm.
It's an area I've driven before a lot because I used to work around the block from there.
Yeah.
So I'm very aware of what's going on there, and it's so familiar. It's just I'm telling you, I'm in shock.
Yeah.
A lot of us are.
Yeah.
A lot of us are. I just can't believe it. I can't believe his helicopter just dropped, and that's it. He went down in the mountains of Calabasas, man.
Yeah, it's this article that I read up because I was also interested in the helicopter and just knowing more about what he flew and stuff like that. So the article basically that I found was from a former pilot that worked for the company that owned the plane, and he flew him for 2 years, but essentially it was like the limousine of helicopters.
Oh yeah, I've seen this.
And it's like the Cadillac of helicopters, right?
Yeah.
And so the pilot was just talking about how in the article he was just talking about how professional Kobe was, and private, and one instance where, like the pilot had to take his kid with him because it was like one of those on-call situations where Kobe wanted to go to downtown, and he was like, "Hey, can you take him?" And he was with his kid, so he took him. And Kobe gets in, and he says, "Hey, little man," to like his kid, that's in the front with the pilot, and it's just so I guess the point I was trying to make with that is that the whole helicopter thing, and the pilot was saying that it's very possible that apparently that helicopter is a very reliable helicopter.
Yeah.
Like it's not. It's very unknown for the engines to fail on it.
Yeah.
And so he really thinks. He said that he thinks that it had to do with the conditions,
the weather,
with
the fog. Yeah, because it was really bad out here. Yeah. Even late, even around like 11 o'clock, the fog was still hanging around.
Yeah, and I think the sheriff's department also in one of their statements said that because of the conditions, they actually didn't have any helicopters in the air as well. So it's just man, it's tough.
It's a crazy day. And going back to, it was not only him that passed away, and have you seen? I mean, he was going to his daughter's basketball game, and his 13-year-old daughter was there, man.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Not only how's the wife find out? The wife found out. I can't imagine her pain right now, man.
Yeah.
They just had a newborn too, I think, or something not too long ago.
Yeah.
So I just can't imagine the pain that she's going through. I put myself in that shoes, and God, I don't know how I would do it.
Yeah.
If I feel bad now, I just can't imagine the pain and all the bad stuff that's going through her.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy it's just you can't even begin to imagine. There's really no words to describe.
And his daughter's name is she goes by Gigi, I guess, but Gianna Bryant, 13-year-old daughter. God, too young, man. Way too young. I just can't imagine, man. God damn.
And so in total, they're saying now it's like 9 people, right? 9
people, yeah.
So it was the pilot, Kobe,
and
his daughter. There was a coach.
It was a baseball coach with his wife and his daughter
that played basketball with him. That's 5.
Yes. And I just saw not too long ago, there was another
6.
lady that was the basketball coach for that team that was on the same helicopter.
Right. 7.
And they don't.
So there'll be like 2 more people.
So 2 more people that haven't been identified.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's tough, man. Some tough news. We're recording right now. It's late at night, and I still feel bad. I just can't imagine. Let me tell you how I found out. I was throwing out the trash when my kids at their birthday party yesterday, and they had a bunch of boxes everywhere. So we walked out there. We took a couple of trips to throw all them boxes out, and we walked in, and my wife was like, "Something happened to Kobe Bryant." I was like, "What?" "Yeah, Kobe Bryant died." And I was like, "What the hell?" Like I couldn't even believe it. I thought my wife was like, "I don't think you know what you're saying."
Right.
She's like, "Yeah, somebody just texted me, Kobe Bryant died." It's like, no. And then I looked on my phone, and it said breaking news: Kobe Bryant suspected of crashing or something like that. His helicopter. And I was like, "Oh hell no, dude!" That's when I knew something was up, dude. And I turned on my wife turned on the TV. She was looking for it, and there's only one channel that had it. It was Channel 7, local Channel 7 News or whatever. There's the only channel that was actually
playing it at the time.
No, that was actually talking about it because it still hadn't broken on TV.
Right.
But it's because TMZ, TMZ is always, I don't know how they do it.
They're on it, bro. They have people everywhere.
So, TMZ was the first one to report it. And that's how she found out. I guess somebody saw TMZ or whatever. And then next thing you know, I'm looking or surfing through the channels. And then we find the channel that says, yes, Kobe Bryant went down in a helicopter. And I was like, God damn. I just couldn't believe it, dude.
Yeah.
Because I want to go back to where I remember Kobe Bryant. I'm telling you, I grew up with him. We're about a year off. One of my earliest memories of him, I'm going to tell you, this is what I tell my wife. I goes, dude, I used to be in 10th grade, 16 years old, something like that. I used to have the newspaper, and I used to read the Laker section, which was the sports section back in those days. Because this is before smartphones and all that stuff. So I was in homeroom at the time, and I would have the sports section all the time. And guess what? I'd be reading the Lakers.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
I grew up a big Laker fan.
Yeah.
Big Laker fan, man. I don't think you understand. I used to cry for my Showtime Lakers when they. That's how bad I am.
Oh, bro, come on. That's LA, brother.
You know, when
Yeah.
people say you bleed purple and gold, I bled purple and gold, man.
Yeah.
As a kid, I cried. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, that's how old I am that I'm a Laker fan.
Yeah.
So this one hurt bad, dude. It hurt bad because you just can't believe it.
Right.
Can't believe it. Because you remember the tough times that Kobe had as a 17-year-old.
For sure.
I remember those. I don't know, maybe you're too young to remember. Kobe as a 17-year-old. Remember, he came in right out of high school
Yeah.
as a 17-year-older.
Well, I watched Nick Van Exel. So I
It was around that time,
Right.
96.
Yeah. So I watched him when I was really young. I don't know how old was he when he went into the league?
17,
No, what year was it?
96.
Yeah, so I was 10 years old.
So
And all I watched like at the time cuz it was like it was before Kobe even went to the league when
Yeah.
Nick Van Exel was around. Yeah.
I vividly remember this because I'm telling you, I was a big Laker fan.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple months before, maybe like 2 months before, they had just killed Tupac in September.
Yeah.
So I still remember everything that was going on around that time. So I remember Kobe Bryant being drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember that.
That I don't remember.
So he was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets 13 overall. And then they traded him for Vlade Divac.
Mm-hmm.
They traded him to the Lakers. I remember all that. It tells you how back I go.
Right.
So I was telling my wife that he was not always a Laker. He was a Charlotte Hornet for like maybe an hour before he got traded back to the Lakers.
Right.
And
It was a strategic trade, right? Yeah.
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 He says it himself that
Right.
when they drafted him, they didn't want him. They told him we have no need for you because at the time I guess that team was loaded.
Right.
And they said we're gonna trade you for Vlade Divac, and that's what happened, and that's how we ended up in LA.
Oh yeah, so, yeah.
So this is a kid that went from high school straight into the NBA.
Right.
And I mean it worked out for us in the Laker Nation.
Oh man, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I think I speak for everyone that's a Lakers fan when I say that that we have some amazing memories, man. Amazing memories, just like, with my brother, my dad, like friends, just jumping of joy in front of the screen. Like I've never jumped and screamed of joy in my life, like it was, dude, it was amazing. Amazing. Him was that the Robert Horry era, with
Even Shaq, man.
Shaq, dude. It was sheesh.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I mean, talking about the Laker fans, you were talking about the Laker fans right now, but the Laker Nation, God, they showed this report today. I don't know if you saw the whole city today.
Oh, they're still out there, yeah.
They're downtown. Granted,
Staples Center.
Staples Center,
Right.
but it's actually closed off because they were having the Grammys today.
Right.
So next to it, I don't know what it's next to it. I forget what's the Nokia or something like that.
Right. Oh, LA Live?
Or something like that, yeah.
Right.
And that's where they're doing all the memorials and all that stuff because it's closed off to the regular people because of Staples Center.
To the Grammys, right?
Yeah.
Is the Grammys or the Academy Awards one of those?
No, I think it's
the
Grammy.
music.
I think it's the Grammys Award.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
a music thingy.
Yeah.
And I was just watching not too long ago because my wife kind of recorded the thingy
Mm-hmm.
where Alicia Keys comes out and says this is the house that Kobe built, that Kobe Bryant built.
Yeah.
And for sure he did.
Oh yeah.
For sure he did. He built it. He stayed. He won a couple championships. He is Mr. Laker himself.
Yeah.
He is LA, man. He embodies everything what LA is about. Hardworking people, always the hustle. That's where he gets that word, the Mamba mentality. Have you ever heard that?
Right.
That's where he gets the Black Mamba from.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, dude. For everyone, I don't know if you've heard of a book called Relentless. There's this book that's actually written by who was his. He wasn't like it wasn't like his physical trainer. He was a coach of his, but he was like more of a health life coach that he had. I forget his name, but in that book, basically, this guy's writing about Kobe, and you're now you're a huge Kobe fan, dude. You need to listen to that book. It's called Relentless.
Yeah.
It gives you insight so much insight into Kobe's mindset and the way, just stories about his life and how this guy. I gotta look up the author's name and this guy's name, but uh, it's such a great book, and yeah, man, we should, yeah, you gotta edit this out because I don't know if I was going with it.
No worries. Going back to the fans, going around just looking at the town, and you see all this purple and gold out there. All the Laker fans are out there showing support. I show support doing this, I think, and knowing deep down inside, I'm a true Laker. But it's not even about being a Laker fan. It's about him being as a human being.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Where, by the way, the name of that book, the author is Tim Grover. But going back to him, you're right. Listen, the beginning of his career, right? We know Kobe Bryant. It's crazy. I was watching the news and the sports newscaster. If I said his name or you saw him, you know who I'm talking about. He's the one that talks a lot about. He's on KCAL 9. And, he's always talking.
Rob Fukuzaki.
Right, and
I think it's Channel 7, right? Asian guy?
No, black guy.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh God. He's always at the Laker games. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I just can't.
He is always at the Laker games, and very.
It's not a Stulance. I'm sorry.
But he was talking about how much Kobe loved the process, bro. Like the process of growth and going through like the hardships that growth requires, right?
Yeah.
And then if you listen to this book, Relentless, and you do some digging into, like, you watch that film that I'm telling you on HBO about Kobe. Like, I'm a huge fan, bro, of his mindset, of him, his work ethic, his ability to just be completely, like, he was a cleaner. That's what this book talks that refers to him as. He was a cleaner, bro. Like, when he went out onto the court, he was relentless. Like, he was a hunter. He was out to kill, and he took no prisoners. But no, going back to the whole, him and the process and enjoying the process and him going through the process. It's like what you're saying, sure, we got to see him and have build a lot of memories around his basketball career. But when you learn more about his life and now, after his career, the things that he was moving towards, and he still had so much potential, and he was still willing to to push through other barriers, through learning other things, right? Becoming great at other areas that weren't basketball. It's just, man, it's just hard not to admire someone. Like, I've always admired the guy. I've always been pulled towards him. That's why I always I read stuff on him. I follow his stuff. And so it's crazy.
I think it's because we saw him as a kid and we saw him grow. I grew up with him. I'm telling you. Yeah. You saw him a little younger, but at the same time, you saw him growing. Because he was a kid himself at 17 years old. Yeah. We saw him fail. I remember his second year, they were playing Utah back in, say, 97, 98, something like that. And that's when he had those infamous
air balls,
yeah, air balls.
This is his first season.
Okay, that's when he told himself supposedly that to soak it in. Even Shaq talks about it, how he told him to remember that feeling because you're gonna learn from that. And you know how you were talking about that killer instinct,
right?
It's called the Mamba mentality, and he talks about it in his book. It's called Mamba mentality, and this is what he says. Just let me read something real quick. And you basically said it exactly, but without the Mamba in it.
Yeah.
But it's basically the same thing, and this is what he says in that book. He quotes it himself. It says is the term Kobe Bryant coined to describe the level of intense focus and relentless approach he took to both in preparation and competition. It's called the killer instinct. And this is how he felt. He thought about it and he said, like, fuck everyone, destroy everyone on the court. But it's not only in the court he thought like that. He he embraced in everything he did like that. Either you're gonna love me or you're gonna hate me.
Right.
And everybody that knows Kobe Bryant, and you've heard those stories,
Right.
fucking other players fucking hated him because he pushed them in practice.
Right.
Anybody that's ever played sports, we hate practice. I remember being in college in basketball practice, football practice. I used to hate going to practice
Yeah.
because everybody just wants to go to the game. He's
Right.
the opposite. He said he learned that from MJ and from the greats.
Right.
Push themselves in practice, and then he's gonna be great during the game.
Right.
So he pushed, and he was not well liked by other people, and including even outside, because he had that killer instinct, that Mamba mentality.
Yeah.
It's strike, and that's it.
Yeah.
There is nothing else. Either you go and strike, or you're gonna get stricken pawn or whatever what it's called. So that's why he got he created that persona, the Mamba mentality, Black Mamba.
Black Mamba.
Yeah, and just thinking about it, just think about it.
Yeah, man, he's a beast.
Don't we all just want to be like that?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, everyone wants to be like that, but he was willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Most people don't. 99% of us
We're all taught.
don't want to put the work in. We all want that, but we don't want to put the work in.
Yeah.
You know, this is the other thing you don't think about. He sacrificed a lot. People don't think about this, you know, like on the smaller scale, right? Like if you looked at his schedule, like the guy was insane. Like his amount of practice. I was reading, I can't recall specifically, but it was like he would practice, then eat, and it was like practice, eat, like break, and then gym, train again.
Yeah.
And then if it was game day, then it was like dude,
he was there early in the
insane,
morning,
bro.
Yeah.
It's like he wasn't, bullshitting, lollygagging, everything was business.
Yeah.
Practice, work, put in the work to be the best.
Yeah.
That's it. And listen, there's, like you said, there's how many athletes go into the NBA, bro.
Yeah.
And the difference between the 1% in anything, just like in the world, is that they're willing to put in the work, make the sacrifice, and it comes at a cost, man. Listen, it does come at a cost.
It does.
Because we don't see, there's a lot of things that we don't know, but I'm sure he missed birthdays. I'm sure he missed
matter of fact
a lot of times,
Yeah. Matter of fact, now that you say that, I just saw, obviously, because, all day I've been watching the news and stuff, so they had these clips of him where he talks about exactly what you're saying here. I sacrificed a lot. He said he had a conversation with his wife one day where he's all like, well, I put in all these hours. I'm away from my family 9 months out of the year.
Right.
I better be fucking be competing for championships.
Right.
And that's the way he took his basketball career and his life. Right. He said even after he retired, he couldn't just sit back and relax.
Right.
He had to go and do work 9 to 5, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And he expected that from obviously anybody that played with him.
Right.
So, and that's one of the problems that he had with people, because he called himself a loner because of that.
People that are great are loners, bro. Like, they're this is, people don't realize that people that are great, like, and I mean truly great.
Yeah.
They don't have like a lot of friends.
Yeah.
They don't have the normal social lives that other human beings do. I think like Steve Jobs is a perfect example, right? Like you talk about Steve Jobs and how he was, I guess they kind of say that he was a bit of a dick or a douche, but I don't know. He was like mean, and also he, spent a lot of time at work and building and time away from his family and stuff. Yeah. So a lot of the people, I've met one person in my life, like an actual person that I met myself that was like that I would say is a 1%.
Yeah.
Like, he's elite at what he does. And I can tell you, man, like, this guy, he's like a fucking hustler. He's a cleaner, relentless, nonstop. But he won't, like, just, like, his focus is at him being the best at what he does.
Yeah.
everything else doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Everything else doesn't matter. So when you're that great at something, it's like everything else doesn't matter. It's like, wait, is that gonna take me towards being the greatest, or is it taking me away? Because if it's making me go towards where I want to go,
Yeah.
and they got laser focused, dude.
Yeah.
Laser focused on what it is they're trying to get at. Most people, the other 99% of athletes in the league, right? Like they play basketball or whatever sport you're in, and you want to make it to the majors, right? You want to make it to the pros.
Yeah.
And you get to the pros and you made it.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah, and they forget about the hard work.
And then you train, and sure, you train, you're consistent, and you're in the pros, but you made it, dude, you know? So, and these guys, it's not like that. You know, Kobe, it wasn't like that. It was like, it wasn't enough for him.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So it's crazy.
I agree with that, man, because he wasn't well liked, not at all.
Yeah.
And you hear the stories where other players didn't want to come and play with him because of that. He demanded a lot of stuff from them, and he I think in Jerry West, I don't know if you know who Jerry West is.
Is he owner? No.
General manager that drafted him. He is the general manager, I think, for the Clippers.
Okay.
But he said that.
Was that the guy who they showed that was kind of crying?
Yeah, he was crying on ESPN. Because
Yeah.
he's the guy that drafted him.
Right.
That made the trade and brought him over to the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, let's just go back to how we owned this town. And I just want to talk about the Lakers because he was Mr. Laker. No matter if Shaq or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, for this, the last 2 decades, because he played 20 years in the NBA.
Yeah.
He played from 96 to 2016. So he played 20 years, 20 NBA years. He was the Michael Jordan of that era.
Oh, yeah.
He was the Michael Jordan. I'm lucky enough that I got to see Michael Jordan
Right.
in his prime.
Yeah.
And I got to see Kobe Bryant in his prime. And then obviously now there's a guy called King James, which is,
Right.
he's not in his prime anymore, but he took over for Kobe.
Right.
But Kobe at the time, he was the Michael Jordan of that era. For a decade, he was the best player in the NBA.
Oh, yeah. Hands down.
That's
yeah,
it.
completely. He's definitely going to be up there as one of the greatest to ever play the game, man. For sure.
And you know how it's funny because I went to the Laker game maybe like 3 weeks ago, and we were behind, not behind, but I'm to my left. I remember looking at the retired jerseys and the banners, and I was like, "Hey, Kobe Bryant's right there." You know, I was looking at it. I was reminiscing because I was a big fan of the Lakers. A lot of them I saw him play. I was like, "God damn, I saw that guy play." And Kobe Bryant is the only one that has 2 jerseys retired, number 8 and number 24.
Yeah.
So he had 2 jerseys, and it's always gonna be like that. It's how much respect people have for him that they have to retire 2 jerseys. Matter of fact, the Mavericks are retiring his jersey. Nobody ever is gonna ever wear that jersey. That's how much respect other teams have for him.
Yeah, man.
The NBA, going back to Asia, remember the NBA is big in Asia.
Oh, yeah.
So it tells you how big the NBA is and how big Kobe Bryant is. He's like, I'm telling you, he was the Michael Jordan. There's only 3 guys that I think that are like that.
Yeah.
Stars, no matter what. MJ was one, Kobe, and then LeBron.
Yeah.
Nobody is bigger than those 3 guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nobody. Maybe I'm wrong. I can't.
No, I would have to agree with that, even though, I'm not a LeBron fan, but I would have, obviously the numbers back it up. So, yeah, dude.
Yeah, but you know what it is that I wasn't always a big. I'm not gonna lie to you. I when the Lakers broke up in 2004 or after the 2004 season, I was blaming him for breaking up the Lakers, and a lot of people were, because it's because of him that Shaq was traded.
Right.
There's stories where he said that he went to the management, go, it's either him or me.
Right.
And they went ahead with Kobe because he was the younger guy.
Right.
And they shipped out Shaq. Obviously, they weren't getting along, but that's how it is, though. Sometimes work is, you don't always get along with other people.
Right. Yeah.
And it sucks. And even families, you don't always see eye to eye, and then eventually become good friends again, like whatever. And that's what happened with him and Shaq. They weren't getting along. They patched it up after they retired, and they were good old boys again.
Right.
But that's how it is.
Of course.
That's how it is. And especially as you get older, little petty stuff is like whatever. It's like, maybe just get over this.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely it has something to do with maturity, right?
Yeah,
And when
yeah.
you're young, making the kind of money you're making, the attention.
And you want to be the
Even
man.
he said it. Yeah, even he said it. I think in one of his interviews. But yeah, man. Shit, he will be missed in the world.
Yeah,
For
man.
sure.
Damn, dude.
He loves soccer.
Exactly. Well, he
was a big soccer fan. Growing up in
Spain and
Italy
Italy and all that.
Been out there.
Barcelona.
Yeah.
Because his dad played basketball, the European leagues or something like that out there.
He was fluent in Spanish.
Yeah. Didn't he know Italy, French or something like that too?
Yeah.
He said that if he would have stayed out there in Europe, he would have been a pro soccer player. He said.
I believe it.
That's what he said.
I believe it.
He said he would have been a pro soccer player if he would have stayed in Europe, because there's no sport bigger than soccer. Believe it or not.
Right. Well, soccer's that's a topic for another
yeah.
podcast. But yeah, it's the best sport.
Let's talk about the good stuff about him. Some of the memories, some of the things that you remember that stand out. What is the first thing that you remember? Is like, damn, you know what? I'm never gonna forget this moment, if any. Because he has a lot of those moments, man.
Man, I didn't he have a game-winning shot? For one of the, I don't know what game it was, man, but I remember he had a game-winning shot. Like, here's the thing. It was all a big blur, because I remember some of the they won how many championships
With him?
with him?
5.
5, bro. And I watched all the games, but I can't really tell them apart, which one was which. And I remember so many games. You're watching so many games where it comes down to the last couple minutes, and everyone gets in a line, and then they run out, and the ball's coming to Kobe, and it's like the shot clock, and he shoots, and he scores on a win, and everyone's jumping, and it was amazing. It was fucking amazing, dude. I just remembering that right now brings me so much happiness. I remember being in church one day, because I had to go to church, and I didn't want to miss the game, and I took my little Walkman with the radio, and I was listening to the game on the radio with my headphones in when I was at church. And it was just, yeah, man. It was so I don't know that I can pinpoint one specific one, but it was just an era, man. It was just an era that, and the energy and the level of play that he brought to the entire team. What about you? Is there one specific?
Yeah. It was I think it was 2000. It was 2000. It was before. It was their first run to their first championship. Remember, this was the first time they actually went to the Western Conference Finals, and they were Game 7, and they were down 17 points to the Trailblazers. I don't know if you remember that time they had that team, the Trailblazer team. They were stacked. They had Scottie Pippen. They had a bunch of guys in that team. They were stacked. That was the first super team, if there was any at that moment, at that time. And they were down 17 points with I want to say with 8 minutes in the fourth quarter, and I thought it was over.
Yeah.
Because back in those days, remember, it's a half-court basketball, and it wasn't now where it's run and gun.
Right.
And they were down 17. I was like, man, I'm done.
It was half-court basketball. Huh? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Now it's just run and gun. But at that moment, I thought it was over. Game 7, they were playing at the Staples Center. I was like, God, I just couldn't muster it. I was maybe a couple minutes away from
turning it off.
Yeah. And then I remember Shaw making a couple of threes. And
Shaq. Yeah. I remember that.
The next thing you know, they were coming back, and then and then the Blazers were throwing all these bricks up, and next thing you know, they're making this huge comeback.
Right.
And then within a minute or something, this is the one thing that I just want to bring up. This is what I remember, and you see it in all the highlights. Him and Shaq, Kobe getting the rebound, going towards the basket, and then he it looks like he's gonna take it for a dunk or a layup, but he alley-oops it to Shaq, and Shaq comes out of nowhere and it dunks it.
Bam.
And then they call a timeout, and that's when he jumps on top of Shaq's. He jumps on Shaq, and Shaq kind of carries him. I'm pretty sure you've seen this.
Yeah.
That right there is one of the greatest moments, because at that moment, I was like 19 or 20. I think I was 19.
Yeah.
And I was soaking everything up.
Of course.
Yeah. I was jumping. Oh my God. It was the greatest Laker moment of my time.
Plus, they were having like the chemistry, right? Like they were having an amazing time, and you could see it. Like they're like, oh, dude, like everyone's just like pumped.
I know you've seen that. Anybody that's listening to this, I guarantee you guys have seen this. If you guys are Laker fans, it's one of the greatest. For me, it's one of the greatest Laker moments. It's a comeback of the year. Remember Game 7 took them to the finals, and they ended up winning versus the Pacers.
Yeah,
versus the Pacers that year, and I remember that year too, because I was in downtown and during the parade and all that. So I soaked it all in. Dude.
It's crazy, man.
That specific play at that moment, God, I remember it all, man. And I also remember the year before when he missed all them air balls.
Right.
Well, a couple years before. Yeah. So, yeah, that damn.
So you got to see him play, huh?
Oh yeah.
That's gonna be. I'm I'm not a big regret type of guy, but that's gotta be one regret for sure that I'm gonna have in life. Is I haven't gone to see him
more often, or
no? I never saw him. I never actually got to till this day. I've never actually gone to a Laker game.
Really?
Yeah.
I went to This is the way I used to go to basketball games, because at the time, Laker games are so expensive. Even to this day, they're expensive.
Yeah.
So we used to go, and we used to buy Clipper tickets to go watch the Lakers, because the Clippers play at the Staples Center.
Right. So when they played the Lakers, you bought the Clipper tickets. Yeah.
And there was a lot of people.
Even though they were still pricier, I'm sure, because they probably knew.
Yeah, but still cheaper.
But it was still cheaper than
going to an actual Laker game.
So how much were the?
It's probably like half off.
Oh wow, yeah.
So because no matter what, the Clippers, even to this day, the Clippers, they're good, but this is always gonna be a Laker town.
Right.
No matter what, I'm sorry, Clipper fans, you gotta win like 20 championships before you're.
It's true, and even then, still,
this is a Laker town. No matter what, and you see a lot of these bandwagon Clipper fans. I don't want to get into it because.
Right.
But I saw a lot of them games like that. That's how we ended up watching a lot of the Laker games and watching Kobe and all these guys. And I feel bad because I remember that 3P era. I watched them all. I blamed him. I blamed him for losing the 2004. He probably had the worst NBA Finals ever.
Yeah.
When they lost to the Detroit Pistons, because they were going for the fourth in a row. Mm-hmm. And he had the worst. He played really bad in those 4 games when they lost. And that's the year. I think that's the year that he got accused for sexual battery or rape or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he beat it, but
that was tough when that was all over the news, man.
Yeah. And then obviously the next year in 2005, they got dismantled and shit. But just talking about him, it tells you how great he was. He always had that. This is another thing that I remember. Everybody knows Jordan had that fadeaway. Guess who had that fadeaway too?
Oh man, I love this fadeaway. I love this fadeaway, dude.
Yeah, because Kobe.
Yeah.
He modeled this game.
Dude, like I would be at school. I remember being in freshman year of high school at Granada, and like every time I played basketball, like I would always practice the fadeaway. It's like it was such a cool shot, dude, because like nobody could. It was really hard to block because you're literally turn around, fading away, bam. But it was Kobe, dude. I mean, obviously Jordan, but
yeah.
I didn't get to see. I saw Jordan towards like the end of his career.
Oh, no, I saw,
and I was too young.
God, I saw those. Though it could have been 8P. It could have been 8 in a row, but he retired for 2 years, a year and a half. It could have been 8, but. This is the one thing too. I mean, there's so many moments with Laker greats, but even at the end of his career, this is the one thing. It tells you the mentality he had when he tore his Achilles.
Oh man.
Do you remember that game?
Yeah. Actually, in that book, it talks about that. Yeah.
So he tore his.
Not the book. I think. Yeah.
I think it's 2013 versus the Warriors. I think it is.
Yeah.
And I remember the play. He stumbled. He kind of slipped and he got called. They called the foul and then he couldn't walk. He was limping and he didn't want to get off the court. And he still
knew. Yeah.
And he still went and shot 2 more free throws. And it tells you the type of mentality was. He's not you're gonna get me off the court. You're gonna have to drag me out. Right. And that's what happened. He's gonna show everybody that you know what, you're gonna have to play through pain. I could do it too. Yeah. It tells you the type of mentality he had, and that's one of the things that I remember about him. And I think the last one that it's so vividly his last game. Yeah. I even taped it. I remember his last game. I don't know if you remember his last game.
Yeah. He had 60 points now, over 60 points. Yeah.
And I have it on my Instagram where Shaq is like, I dare you to get 50 or something like that. And he goes, yeah, well, I dared him that night to get 50, and motherfucker came back and put 60 on or something like that. But I mean, obviously joking around. Right. But it tells you the type of, if you challenge him, what he's gonna do. He's gonna do one better on you. So it's the type of mentality that he had, and we're gonna miss that, man. I feel like he's too young. Like I feel like it was way too young for him to go.
Yeah, man. He will be missed.
Yeah, you see all these.
He just, you just get the sense from him that he had a lot to give, and he was doing it. It's just, damn, it's tough.
It sucks, man. It sucks, and you see the highlights with him and his daughter practicing. She looked like him. He played like him. They have a picture of her. How she puts his. You know how he used to like bite on his jersey. He used to bite on his jersey, kind of like with his teeth. They have a picture of his daughter doing that, imitating his dad. Yeah. You see when he wins the championships, I don't know if you've seen that. That's another one that I think you see him in the murals a lot, where he's standing with the ball on half court, like when he jumps over the dresser's table, whatever it's called, and he's looking into the crowd, kind of like doing this. Yeah. It's probably one of the best pictures ever of Kobe.
Oh yeah.
That one, and I think there's another one when he's pulling his jersey. He's pulling like his jersey, kind of like screaming at the same time, all of emotion. Those are the two biggest, I think, pictures that you'll see out here. Yeah. And so, yeah, and I mean, it sucks. It sucks. I mean, I'm glad that we're actually talking about the good stuff. I know this man was a husband, was a dad, and he was just living life, man. He was just starting his life away from basketball, man.
One of the stories that I heard was that I guess like in his second or third year of his career in the NBA, I guess this kid had I just heard it on the news. They were interviewing this guy, and he was talking about how he was a burned victim, and he was at this burn place in Simi Valley, I think it was, or Santa Clarita, and he said that Kobe Bryant walked in there, pulled up a chair, and like talked to him for like 30 minutes and told him, to just kind of chatted with him and had a conversation with him and kind of gave him some inspiration and hope for recovery. But the guy was talking about how he didn't take any media with him. It wasn't even like nobody even knew about it. He went in and he was just, he did that. And, it's really interesting because I feel like, we know about other people's lives, celebrities and so forth, but about Kobe, like, it's always been like kind of quiet for the most part, Yeah. Like even, his like you really have to look for his stuff to find out what he's doing, like what is he working on and this and even if when you find his stuff, it's like there isn't a lot of it. So that always fascinated me about him too. But you're right, it's like he had a lot of potential. He was living life, and it's just such I just feel like it's just a horrible thing to happen to anyone to anyone, right? I mean, it's a horrible thing to happen to anyone, and everyone that was on that, in that incident and passed away. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But
exactly. I think everybody feels everything what you're saying right now, or you're trying to describe. The one thing I'll tell you is that we all know that we're gonna eventually end up 6 feet on the ground.
Right.
But the fact that the way people, when people pass away and they pass away in a tragic way, kind of like what happened today, it hits you hard, man, because it's unexpected. It's unexpected, and I think that's what hurts the most, man.
I can tell you this. This is the first time in my life that I think that I've been impacted this way by someone that I've never met.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like yeah. And I think that says a lot about him and who he was, and I think that says a lot more than any words that I can try and say and describe about him, because I don't know anything really, but all I know is that he obviously touched people all over the world, man. All over the world.
Yeah.
Through his work,
through
his work ethic, through his life, and just I don't know. I guess the only thing left to say is thank you.
Yeah. I think people that disliked him at the time, I think they had a respect for him because of how he went about and did things. You may not have liked him at the time, but when you sit back and you analyze everything, you kind of get this respect factor. Like, I respect what you did, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously you were competing against him if you're a basketball player. Of course, you're not going to like the
competition.
The competition. But when you step back and you look back at it and you analyze everything, you respect the person. You're like, damn, this dude was badass. And as you could tell, everybody in the NBA was crying. Even the newscasters, they were crying.
Dude.
I almost, fuck. I see how bad they felt. I told you I couldn't really eat today. I feel like my food wasn't going down right.
Dude, it was loved. He was loved. Like, this guy was loved, man. Yeah.
And it sucks that he had to go the way he did. It sucked that his little girl had to go the way she did. And I think that's the other big factor for me that hit me hard, because we celebrated my kid's birthday yesterday, and when we do that, a birthday we're celebrating life and him as a dad and all that stuff. It was done today. It was done. So myself as a dad, I put myself in that situation, and it hurt, man. It hurt because I'm a husband, I'm a dad, and God damn, it sucks, bro. I just can't imagine how the family feels and stuff. And it's the tragic way to go, man. It's tragic. But, before we leave, I want to read something. I really want to read something that I think most people have been writing on. And one of them, it says, heroes come and go, but legends are forever. In a city where there's a lot of stars, he is a legend. He was amongst stars. He was one of the biggest stars in LA. I mean, it tells you everything.
Yeah, I'm very grateful, man. I'm very grateful that I got to grow up watching him, and I'm very grateful that that the universe allowed me to be a Laker fan and live in LA and grow up and see him, because man, it's
all these stars, LeBron crying, the Lakers found out on the plane heading back home. Imagine that. Imagine finding out when they're flying back from Philly because they had a game last night, and then they were told on the plane that what happened. So getting off the plane, you see they had pictures of LeBron crying getting off the plane. Some of the Laker players were like crying all over the place. You see players all over the NBA. I just can't imagine them playing. A lot of them didn't want to play. Even the broadcasters were like, "I don't feel like broadcasting today. I'm sorry." Even Jay Williams, one of the guys from ESPN, was like, I could lose my job, but I'm going to tell you, the NBA should not have games on today. That's what he said.
Yeah.
There was a lot of broadcasters crying, bro. A lot of them. It tells you how it impacted them. Another quote that I saw is Magic Johnson said, it should have been the other way around. He should have been talking about me.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be here talking about him. It sucks, huh? It sucks.
Yeah, man.
And then there was another one, too, with Shaq talking about him, my little brother, my little niece, because they became family. They became family after after their shit went out, and they became family after all the drama they went through. And then it tells you that he was hurting, too, man.
Everyone, I think, was it Neymar scored a goal today with PSG, and, paid his tribute to, I think it was to the 2-4, to his number.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
But that's it's crazy, man. It's just so crazy, right? It just, what one human being, how many lives one human being can touch. And, it just makes you, I don't know, it makes me kind of reflect on my life and think, like maybe we should, I don't know, I think the world would be a better place if we all try to live our lives that way, if we try to strive to be the best at what we do that makes us happy, and focus on what's important. And obviously, like you said, he focused on his family, on his work, and his own personal goals, and you didn't hear him complain. You didn't hear. I mean, that's the mentality of the elite, man. Like, you don't sit around and complain about stuff.
Yeah.
You just take action towards your goals. So, yeah.
Yeah, it sucks, man. I think we're just gonna leave it there because, God, we could keep on going talking about it, but I just feel so bad right now. A lot of us feel so bad. I think the world mourns him and his daughter. You know what? One of the things I did after I saw that, after it sunk in, because I was in a state of shock for a bit, and then it sunk in that it was actually true. I saw my kids playing and having a good. You know how they're in their world and they're playing. I called them one individually and I gave them a hug.
Yeah.
Because I put myself in his shoes and he didn't get to do that, man.
Yeah.
He had a newborn, he had an older daughter, and then I think he had four kids. So,
Well, maybe he did.
Yeah.
Maybe he did get to do that. I think that's like a really important takeaway, man. I had a mentor one time who told me, "What if you lived like that every day?" And what he meant by like that was like if you lived knowing that today was your last day, like how would you live your day today?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying like you just drop everything and go and, I don't know, vacation or start trying to cross off your bucket list. I'm saying like being present, like truly just being in the moment, because it's hard for me to do even, but I had to stop myself at times. But like you said right there, right? It was like you saw like kind of death, right? Like the end sunk in.
Yeah.
And when that sinks in, it makes you be present. So everything that doesn't matter goes away, and then you go and what matters, all of a sudden you're like, bam. So I think that should be like a reminder to us. It's definitely a reminder to me to just kind of to realize that any day could be our last on this planet, and
and not take things for granted, specifically our family, our kids. So I've been seeing a lot of these Instagram posts saying, go home. If you have kids, go home and hug them. Go hug your family members, or if you have little petty stuff, go and talk to that person and forget about that pettiness, because this could be our day. Because anytime we go out, it could happen to us.
It's true. Yeah.
If we go out there, and I mean, I've seen it firsthand with some of my friends, and it's hard, man. So I think that's one of the reasons I told you, like when I saw my kids today, they were having their good old time playing with their toys and their toy guns there. And I called them one by one and I gave them a hug. I go, Daddy loves you and all that stuff because of that. And that it just made me feel so horrible, dude. That it was tragic. It was a tragic day, man.
Man.
I think a lot of us cried. I saw a lot of people crying. I didn't cry, but God, I could have. I could have, man. And it just sucks. So I know the LA is in shock.
Yeah, the world lost a great human being today.
Yeah. The world, even the president, everybody was Obama. Everybody, man. Everybody. The Grammys were talking about him. Everybody. Mexico was talking about him. Who didn't know about
the whole world?
Yeah,
geez,
the whole world, man. He was that big of a star, man. It sucks, man. Because you know what? There's times where, and lately I've been doing it because I've been so tired. I haven't been going to my kids' practice. My wife been taking them, and I go, you know what? Fuck that. I gotta figure out what I gotta do to get back on the ride. I don't know. It's one of those things that reality hits, and you gotta just enjoy life now, live life now, and that's what he was doing. He was living life.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy is a prime example based on what I saw. He's a prime example of living like every day to his fullest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was working. It was a balance.
It's just
Working,
it's crazy.
being with his family, taking his daughter to practice. He was doing all that stuff, dude. I don't know if it's the good thing that he went with his daughter. I don't know how that goes, man. I don't know. But God, I just want to say from the Everything Goes podcast, I want to say rest in peace, Kobe and Gigi, and everybody on the helicopter crash. God, rest in peace, guys. I just hope it was fast. I don't even know what to say. You get me? But if it were for them to have crashed like that, I hope it was fast. I guess I don't know if that's the right word to say, but
yeah, that's it.
That's it, man.
That's it, dude.
Yeah. All right, guys. From all the way from LA, and it's one of those hard days. It's one of those hard days. So this is Gus. Thanks, Josh, for coming on.
Thank you.
And rest in peace, Kobe and Gigi and the rest of the people that were on that helicopter. So this is Gus on the Everything Goes podcast. And like Kobe Bryant said, Mamba out. And that's it, guys.